بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم نحمده ونصلي على رسول الكريم السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. Welcome to this Juma Reminder, Friday Reminder, in the place until we actually start an actual Juma. The condition of insan, of the human being, the conditions that come on a human being while they're in this world are due to the a'mal of Bani Adam, of the children of Adam alayhi salam. The human being in his existence in the world is like the heart in the body. Depending on the condition of the heart, all the other limbs and all the other organs that are attached to it or to the body depend on the heart. And when the heart, something goes wrong with the heart, then the whole body suffers. The conditions in this dunya are according to the actions of Bani Adam. So floods, earthquakes, diseases, conditions that come into this world are the a'mal that get lifted up every morning and evening of insan. And sometimes those a'mal reach a point, they're at fever pitch and they're so bad that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sends decisions, and always the decisions are sent, day and night decisions are sent, because a'mal are being raised and lifted and decisions are being made for and against the children of Adam based on their actions. And the human being's existence in the world is like the heart in the body. He is the centerpiece of this universe, the centerpiece of creation, and his actions or her actions do matter. But the human being himself is in deception. The more materialistic that insan is becoming, the more becoming attached to worldly things and forgetting that his actions do matter. There are consequences of the actions. There are positive or negative effects of the actions in this world. And as they forget, as human beings forget, as we forget, then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sends reminders, and the reminders in the form of punishments in this world. This sickness is a punishment of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It's not just a coincidence, somebody ate a bat, as many are saying. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that could be the means of it, but the reason why it's coming and the amount of loss that is caused in wealth, in body, in health, and expenses and economies, and it's so vast that generally the human condition is not good. That so many had to suffer because of that. And what we're trying to do when we're in deception, we're trying to change condition with condition. We're still not understanding that it's about tawbah. Many of us still have not understood that this is something that we have to return. This Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is giving us a soft knock, small azabs. Allah mentioned in the Quran, He will send small azab in this world. It's not the big azab. But if the human being doesn't come back, the small knocks that they get in this world, then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sends bigger worries, bigger problems, bigger stresses, and bigger problems in the household, bigger problems in the economy, bigger problems in the business, and so forth. The essence of a human being and the reality of a human being and his deen depends, and his relation with Allah depends on yaqeen, on conviction. Do we recognize that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He is actually in charge of everything? Generally, we will accept as Muslims, and very firmly will accept that the creator and the sole creator of the whole universe and everything in it and everything to come is the creator, and bringing things into wujud and existence from nothing is only one Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But for some reason, maybe just the test of this world, that we lose focus and we forget that after creating the whole universe, the only controller of the whole universe and creation is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We all accept, every Muslim accepts, because you can't be a Muslim other than the Khaliq, the creator of everything, is only one Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But after creating every single thing, He didn't just hand it over to the creation. He didn't hand it over to the makhluq, to the creation. And, whatever you do, that's what's going to decide what will happen. No, the conditions of the world will be decided according to your efforts, according to your supposed idea of progress, your idea. It's got nothing to do with that. That's the test. And the human being falls into deception. Because, and this is throughout the Quran. If you see the Quran, when any of the Anbiya alayhimus salam came to any of the nation, what is the immediate thing that they present before the Nabi as a counter argument to whatever the Nabi is bringing? The Nabi is coming, and all Anbiya alayhimus salam, as mentioned in the Quran, قُولُوا لَا إِلَهِ إِلَّا تُفْلِحُوا, say La ilaha illallah and you be successful, having yaqeen, conviction in the kalima La ilaha illallah, and you be successful. Have belief that Allah is in charge, He created everything, He owns everything, He sustains everything, subhanahu wa ta'ala. Everything in the universe is in His control, nothing happens except with our permission. This all undercomes the belief in the yaqeen in La ilaha illallah. And different nations presented different things, models of success. Someone said we are a lot in number, so their solution to their problems and their success was seen in large, having a lot of people around them, as many Muslims see today. Some individuals, some families. It's amazing to think that the greatest people that we had, most of them were orphans. Like they were, and not just orphan, they were single child. They were most. This is it's interesting. It's not something to be generally Islam encouraged to have large families, but it shows you something that the greatest imams that we had, ulama. Well, let's go back to our Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam was an orphan. Right, so it's so the nations that presented, they used to present like Nuh alayhi salam's nation and others. They used to present their numbers, kathrat, that we have a lot of people with us. You're in the minority, we're in the majority. They saw their success in numbers and they failed, their numbers failed. They presented their wealth. Some nations presented their wealth and they failed. Some presented their farming skills, their agriculture system. Allah made it fail. They can present different things in front of La ilaha illallah, that there is no one worthy of worship except Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Some presented their intellectual prowess, some presented their manufacturing abilities, others presented different things. And today is different. Different people are presenting different ideas, but we've been affected because we're so integrated with the non-Muslims because of the way the world is now. So many of their ideas or their beliefs we've taken on board. The biggest belief that we take on board is that if we, other than the kufr, generally Muslims believe in only one God and worship only one Allah. But the biggest thing that we've taken, which negate the yaqeen of the kalima La ilaha illallah from them, is that we've taken the belief that it's our abilities and our works that will change. It's actually kufr, it's a dangerous idea. We are the creators of our own destiny. This statement is that we are the creators. Many groups came in the past. I'm talking about right up to the first century of Islam. These groups came and they disappeared and they come out in different forms. They change the words a little bit, but the same thing, they go against what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, what all Anbiya alayhi salam was sent from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala have reminded humanity, that they along with giving da'wah to La ilaha illallah, along with that, every time you see a prophet, they're presenting something. The mushrikeen, the idol worshippers, the previous nations, they're presenting some material, worldly belief that they have in their farming, in their abilities, physical strength, in their manufacturing. And this is throughout the whole Quran. Their education ability. I'm not saying we don't get education, don't do manufacturing, but as a Muslim, I have to have this firm yaqeen, this firm belief, conviction, that the solution of my problems and the problems of the whole humanity in this world and hereafter is only in my relationship based on the relation with Allah subhanahu, and that hasn't changed, because we are trying to establish and correct our condition based on changing. Like all right, I'll bring a new condition and that'll change the older condition. Nothing's going to happen until we actually go back to Allah and until we correct our relation with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Nothing will change. That is the rule, because the one who controls this whole world and everything in it is only one Allah, nobody else. Nobody can change the condition. No matter what systems we use, no matter how whatever efforts we made, no matter how many polymaths we use, how many geniuses we use, if we don't come to that ultimate reality, that the only real solution to my problems and everybody else's problems is in the orders of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, is in having yaqeen firstly, and then fulfilling the orders of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala with reality, with haqiqat, and going to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala through deen, not just actions of deen, but with reality, having a firm conviction. Allah will not change. Allah Himself says He will not change the condition of people until they change themselves. they change their deeds and actions. He will not change the action for any other reason except for their actions. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in the Quran, and those who turn away from my dhikr, for my remembrance, for my obedience, I will give them a constrained ma'ishatun danka, a constrained life, a restricted life. And that is the fadl and the kindness of Allah. That's the grace of Allah. Because He doesn't destroy the person. He makes him miserable in disobedience. He makes him miserable in his disbelief. He makes him miserable and gives him problems. So he realizes it's like a soft knock to tap him, to bring him into line. And it keeps intensifying until he is destroyed. Allah save us. That Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, this musibah that has happened is a calamity. But it is also the fadl of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that it's not worse than this. Because all the sins of the previous nations and all the talks of the previous nations that were destroyed when they were challenged, they challenged their prophets. And the prophets succeeded and those nations failed and were destroyed. All of that exists in the whole world today and is being propagated. So how is it that we can succeed? How is it that we can, when we don't even lift a finger for that, even to voice our objection to the wrongs? So, and the wrongs in ourselves, I'm not talking about other people, but in ourselves, the wrong things we're doing, we don't even realize. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He, in His infinite mercy, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in His fadl and His grace, He brings conditions upon us that we have to. So the solution, to turn to the solution, the real solution is the kalima la ilaha illallah. And having reality on the kalima la ilaha. And this is some lost to many people. Well, I'm a Muslim, I say the kalima. I'm a Muslim already. Yeah, but what is the reality of the kalima? Because the Prophet ﷺ didn't say just recite these words in your Muslim. Anybody can recite it. Literally takes 2 seconds to recite it. But what is it? What is the reality? How will this go into the depths of the heart? Because everything that we make effort on, that thing will come into the heart. The belief of that thing will come into the heart. That thing that we sell, that thing that we talk about, that thing that we remind others about all the time, it affects us. We become attached to that thing. So the kalima, it's Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, when the kalima, the reality, the yaqeen and the kalima comes truly in the hearts of the people. And that's why you hear about people going, so and so is mustajabu da'wat, his dua is accepted. Like among Sahaba radiallahu, certain people like Sa'd ibn Abi Waqqas radiallahu, that and their yaqeen was it was evident, and that's why you have awliya, pious people used to go and request a dua. Because those who bring the kalima with yaqeen and conviction in their heart, then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala makes the makhluk, the creation, the subject, because it's the whole creation is owned by Allah, controlled by Allah. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He decides who will get benefit and who will get harm. Nothing else can change that. And Muslim, a believer who corrects his relation with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Allah subjugates, because His creation is created for Bani Adam, for the children of Adam. Allah subjugates it and puts it under the control of Bani Adam, including the winds, including the seas. So the effort that as a Muslim, as a believer is required is to attain yaqeen, conviction, until all doubts are removed in the heart. And because of we have the wrong yaqeen or weak yaqeen, conviction, because of the wrong efforts, because we believe that our farming, our manufacturing, our office works, our degrees, our jobs, this is actually benefiting harm and this will improve our condition. And we don't have the conviction that the ahkam, the orders of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, when the actions become alive with conviction, it changes the human condition. Allah's faisalas, decisions that are coming for or against human being, the decisions that were made against or not in favor of a human being change to those that are in favor. So, and you can't benefit from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the one who controls everything, owns everything. You cannot benefit from Him subhanahu wa ta'ala directly from His treasures, have access to it with incorrect yaqeen. You can't have it, and our problem is in every beat of our heart, we have the belief on the other than Allah, ghayrullah, on the creation of Allah. We believe that the creation is benefiting and harming us. We believe other than Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is harming us and controls our conditions. And because of that, in every beat of our heart, in every moment, we're thinking about how, and we are fearful of the creation of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And because of that, we can't get access to the treasures of unseen treasure, the unlimited treasures of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Remember, the creation of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in its entirety is there to remind us of Allah. The sun, the moon, the stars, these are all great signs of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But if you want to take benefit from the treasures of Allah, you have to negate all of this. You have to negate the effects of all the creation, the sun and the moon and the stars and everything, and all the bigger creation that, and even Jibreel alayhi salam and the Arsh and every other creation of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You have to negate the benefit and harm in all of this. So all of these are signposts to Allah, but if you want to gain from Allah directly, then you'll have to negate in your heart everything and take out the belief, and you have to make an effort for that. It's not one go or one sentence that we say, but actually you have to negate and remove all of this from our heart. So the conditions of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sends in this world, we can change them, but there's only one way to change them, is to change ourselves and change our yaqeen, make effort on our yaqeen and our belief and our iman and our actions, to do actions with that yaqeen. As I said before, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he explained to us, like just saying the kalima is not sufficient. The reality of the kalima has to come into the depths of our heart, and everything else has to be removed. So the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, in many hadiths, there's a book, Muntakhab Hadith, in the beginning of that, even if you go to Kitab al-Iman of Imam Bukhari, many hadiths are mentioned there, in which the signs of Iman, right, are mentioned. That how do Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam didn't just tell us, how do you actually check whether you have Iman or not, or Iman is strong or not? Man amana billahi wal yawmil akhir falyukrim dayfa. If those who believe in Allah in the last day, they have Iman on Allah in the last day, should honor their guests. But whoever believes in Allah in the last day should not harm his neighbors. The one who gives for Allah, withholds for Allah, is pleased for Allah, displeased for Allah, he has complete his Iman. If your good deeds make you happy and your sins make you displeased, if your good deeds make you happy and your sins make you displeased and upset, then know that you're a mu'min. Know that you're a mu'min. If you do a good deed and it's hard to do, but you feel happy because you've done the good deed because it's pleasing to Allah, it's a sign of Iman. And if you do a sin, no matter how enjoyable apparently may be, but it bothers you, it upsets you, then know that this is the Prophet ﷺ is telling us that know that you have Iman. So the signs of Iman in the hadith of Rasulullah ﷺ are so many that we can recognize how, if I'm actually gaining Iman or not, if my yaqeen and conviction on the orders of Allah is increasing or not, and am I solving my problems through the amal. And that's the only way, there's no other way. Allah has closed all other doors, and humanity as a whole has to actually come to. Muslims have to come to this, and the non-Muslims have to come to this as well. Understand who's in charge, and who's the one who benefits and harms, who's the one who gives and withholds. Until we do that, then these false promises made by the creation of Allah, who created things from themselves. Manufacturing is a human-made thing. Manufacturing is dependent on the amr of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Allah put the effect in all the materials. Businesses, the business people, morning and evening, they go through this tension of stress of, profit, loss. Constantly they're in that process. Business is one of those things for a mu'min, is a good thing to do, because in a way he learns to rely on Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So for someone who has a fixed income, salary, he assumes that he's always going to be provided for and so forth. It's an illusion. And many people just like being in an illusion. But the illusion is now becoming, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the mirage is disappearing. These conditions, when they come, they knock sense into us. Allah puts ahwal in the asbab to show who's in charge. Like Allah did with Fir'aun. Allah sent locusts and blood in the water, and sends lice and frogs. Before Allah destroys a people, Allah save us. Before Allah destroys a people, a nation, Allah sends ahwal, conditions in the asbab. And if they still don't turn to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, send 7 signs, Allah sent one after the other, so many chances were given, and they still didn't turn back to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala destroys them. And it gets more severe. As time goes, it gets more severe, because they're not coming to what they're supposed to come to. We're not coming to what's supposed to. We sort of massage the problem a little bit, and then just go back to a merry way and say, okay, I'll manage it. And we'll live in misery, but we won't come back to the solution of Allah. We won't come back to the solution of Allah. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's rahmah is so much that He gives small knocks first. He doesn't destroy us outright. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives us small knocks, small reminders, and so that we may, and if you do that, the one who does that, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, hayatun tayyibah, good life. You know, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and if you don't do that, then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has promised in the Quran, miserable life, constrained, restricted life Allah gives a person. He might be sitting in millions with all the wealth and health and everything of this world, but he'll be in misery because Allah is displeased with him. Because Allah is not in need of any of these things to make you, He can make you displeased in all the worldly, He can make you miserable in all the material things, because He wants you to come back to Him and find solace with Him, and the real happiness which is in the dhikr of Allah, the real itminan, contentment of the heart is with Him. And then, because you're not created for this world, I'm not created for this world, Insan is not created for this world, created for the hereafter. So all of us have to leave this regardless. And if on the other side, if a person does the obedience, he obeys Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, she obeys Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, then it's a good life. Such a life you can't disobey Allah. Such a contentment that even if a person is sitting in rags, and we heard this about Sahaba radiallahu anhu, we read this about Sahaba radiallahu anhu, that in battles, there's literally a battle called the Battle of the Rags, because they have no shoes, and they wrap rags around their feet, so the stones and the sharp stone, the jagged rocks will not cut their feet. Right? And they had contentment despite the apparent difficulty and hardship that they were going through. So that is from Allah, gift from Allah. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will change the condition of the ummah. People are worried, so and so took see, one of the ulama, I'll finish off with this, one of the ulama said, someone took somebody's land. Right? Somebody, so he goes, who's the zalim and who's the mazlum? Who's the oppressor, who's the oppressed? On the apparent, if you look at it, the one whose land is taken is oppressed. The one whose land is taken is oppressed. He said, the Shaykh said in the past, the Shaykh said, his disobedience of Allah that brought that condition. His disobedience of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that brought that condition. And in Islam, zalim there's two meanings. One is a zalim in the sense of he's an oppressor, takes somebody's right, a tyrant. The other zalim, type of zalim, is the zalim that the wrongdoer. And sinners are called wrongdoers, they're called zalims, because they wrong themselves. And the zalim, the oppressor, the wrongdoer to himself. This is another zalim. So on the apparent it looks like this person is mazlum, but in reality he was a zalim when he disobeyed Allah, and Allah appointed a zalim over to take his land. So how many of us think we always see ourselves as victims? But in reality, how much zulm have we done by disobeying Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? And then Allah decided against us as a community, a city or a country, or as an individual, and brought conditions that were unfavorable to us. And they were only the result because of the actions, the bad actions of the person that were lifted up. So may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala improve the condition of the ummah. Make dua for ourselves and the whole ummah, inshallah. Allah improve the condition of the ummah, our actions and our beliefs, and that when our actions are lifted up to the heavens, they're lifted in a state that is pleasing to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and that they are, whatever is written in those books of deeds, that they're pleasing to Allah, that Allah sends favorable conditions. Because by Allah, we need good conditions to come on the ummah. We complain at United Nations, we complain in protests in front of the creation. But none of us, or very few of us, actually try to make amends with Allah or try to get the ummah to correct their relation with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. With incorrect belief, we're not going to get anywhere. It will keep going and going and going. Because Allah has rules in this world. There's sunnahs in this world. We have to correct our relation with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, else there is no decision made in any other way except the same things will just keep continuing. And actually, if we keep doing the sins, the condition will actually get worse and worse. And may Allah protect, but it will end up in destruction. So as an ummah, reminders are being sent to us. This is a huge reminder in our lifetime, and we see in front of us. And there's a constant process of reminder of fix yourself up, fix myself up, fix the ummah, remind the people to fix themselves up. If everybody concerned about themselves, inshallah ta'ala, the whole ummah will be in a better way, inshallah. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give us understanding and tawfiq to practice and make a short dua for ourselves and the Muslims. يا الله الرحمن الرحيم، يا ملك القدوس، يا سلام، يا مؤمن، يا مهيمن، يا عزيز الجبار المتكبر، يا أول الأولين، يا آخر الآخرين، يا ذا القوة المتين، يا رحم المساكين. اللهم صل على سيدنا محمد وعلى آل سيدنا محمد كما صليت على إبراهيم وعلى آل إبراهيم إنك حميد مجيد. اللهم ربنا آتنا في الدنيا حسنة وفي الآخرة حسنة وقنا عذاب النار. اللهم إنا نعوذ بك من عذاب القبر ومن عذاب جهنم ومن فتنة المحيا والممات من شر فتنة المسيح الدجال. اللهم اغفر لأمة رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم. اللهم ارحم أمة رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم. اللهم اهد أمة رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم. اللهم اعف عن أمة رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم. اللهم ألف بين قلوب أمة رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم. اللهم انصر أمة رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم. سبحان ربك رب العزة عما يصفون وسلام على المرسلين والحمد لله رب العالمين.